In the last video, we covered customer order cancellations, the reasons for such cancellations, and the metrics and solutions for avoiding them. In this video, we will tell you about managing returns and how to manage such returns on the ONDC network and keep track of customer returns and fix any recurring issues. When a product is delivered to a buyer, a seller can expect the following outcomes. 1. A buyer is satisfied with the product, accepts the product, and the return window closes. 2. Return after delivery. Sometimes a buyer may want to return a product and have multiple reasons to do so. Because they have changed their mind, because the product does not match what is shown in the catalog, because a product they received is damaged. These returns are called return after delivery. And then we have the third outcome, return before delivery. When a product is not delivered to the buyer because a buyer refused to accept the order, or the logistics seller network participant or off-network logistics was not able to reach or connect with the buyer, or the buyer's address was incorrect and incomplete and therefore delivery could not be made. These returns are called return before delivery or RBD. Let's find out what are the guidelines for managing such returns. When a return is initiated by a buyer after the product delivery, the logistics seller network participant or off-network logistics will pick up the product and deliver it back to the seller. However, the seller must ensure to set up processes to carry out certain activities for smooth return handling. Let's look at what these processes could be. Process 1. Sometimes a returned product could be damaged either by the buyer or in forward or reverse transit. At the time of dispatch, the seller must ensure there is sufficient proof to establish dispatch of the correct product and quality of packaging through videos and images. This helps establish the seller's claims and acts as proof in case a product is returned damaged. Process 2 has two possibilities. 1. If a return order is received by the seller and there is visible damage to the outer packaging indicating mishandling and possible damage to the product, then this should be mentioned on the Logistics Proof of Delivery document, POD. 2. In case there is no damage to the outer packaging, but later the seller realizes there is damage to the actual product or brand box. In both cases, the seller needs to raise a ticket in defined timelines with the seller network participant. Tickets raised beyond a defined timeline may not be accepted. You, the seller network participant, must set these timelines with your respective sellers. Also, you need to raise the issue with the logistics seller network participant or the off-network logistics partner as per their timelines. To avoid disputes later, it's preferable if the seller examines the returned item in the presence of the delivery agent. So, these are the processes which need to be followed by the seller. The seller network participant must ensure that the seller understands and implements these processes. Now, let's look at some of the reasons for customer returns after delivery and the guidelines for managing such returns. It is important to investigate and reduce customer returns after delivery as they result in zero sales, while incurring the cost of operations, logistics costs, and risk of in-transit damages. Reasons for customer return after delivery. Number 1. An incorrect product getting delivered because of a seller's mistake. How to tackle this? Create a checklist for packaging partners before orders are dispatched and put it up near the packaging area. Number 2. Product being received by a buyer is damaged, either at the seller's end or in transit. To avoid this, check the percentage of products damaged. If the percentage is high, it can be due to packaging quality. For this, refer to the packaging section. If the packaging is good but the product is damaged, check logistics level damages and move to a logistics seller network participant or off-network logistics where damages are less. Number 3. Product getting delivered is different from the product on the product display page in terms of looks or product features. Rectify this by checking the catalog data and information provided. If there's a mismatch, correct it to match actual product information. Also, check the entire catalog to ensure similar gaps are not present. Number 4. The product received by a buyer is not working. For a branded product, ensure the brand guidelines for defective products are mentioned with a brand helpline number for any issue. For a private label sourced by a supplier from a manufacturer directly, a one-off manufacturing defect requires no process-level action. But if the frequency of defects is high, advise manufacturers to improve quality or discontinue selling till there's an improvement in quality. Number 5. The customer has received only a part of the complete order. To avoid this, create a checklist for packing partners before dispatch and put it up near the packing area. For a specific case, discuss with the customer and check if they are okay with the remaining order being dispatched shortly to close the issue. Number 6. The customer no longer needs a product. He changed his mind. In this case, nothing can be done, so no action is required if the return percent is low. If the returns are high, sellers may take a call to make the product only prepaid. The orders may decrease with this action, but the returns will be low as well. Or the seller can make this product non-returnable. Number 7. It's a size or fitting issue. This is usually seen in the fashion category where a product size does not fit a customer. It is advisable to accept returns here or allow exchange depending on the kind of clothing or wearable. Also, check the product detail page to ensure the size chart is updated and accurate for a product. There can be 2 scenarios for customer returns after delivery. For products which are non-returnable, customers can still raise issues through the buyer application, especially for all cases except for the fit issues and the cases where the customer's mind has changed. In all these cases, you are obliged to return or refund under the governing e-commerce rules. Incorrect package got delivered, product received by the buyer is damaged, defective product received by the buyer. For products which are returnable, all scenarios mentioned earlier are possible along with a few new scenarios. Here, customers can directly raise return requests through the buyer application if incorrect package got delivered, product received by the buyer is damaged, product delivered is different from the product displayed in the catalog, defective product received by the buyer, only a part of the complete order is delivered, customer no longer needs a product, it is a size or a fit issue. We highlighted 2 different kinds of returns at the beginning of this video. We explained to you what customer return after delivery is and the various reasons for this, as well as the guidelines to handle such returns. Now let's look at the second type of return which a seller would encounter: return before delivery, or RBD. How does one return before delivery, RBD? As the name suggests, return before delivery, RBD, are orders returned to the seller without delivery to the buyer. It is important to keep a check on these numbers and percentages, as it is a loss of sale and the seller NP or the seller must bear the cost of operations and logistics. Let's understand the various reasons for these returns as well as the guidelines on how to handle them. Reason number 1 for a return before delivery. If a delivery was attempted later than the expected time of arrival promised to the buyer at the time of placing the order, the buyer may choose not to accept the order. The guidelines for improvement in the case of a shipment delay follow SOPs on inventory management, which we have explained in the video on seller order cancellations. For post-shipment delay, check logistic level metrics on post-order delivery timelines. Address the issue with your logistics partner or shift to logistics seller NP or off-network logistics with better and faster delivery records. Reason number 2. Delivery partner unable to reach customers due to incorrect or incomplete address or contact number. The guidelines for improvement here would be to check at the buyer network participant code level if the buyer application is not capturing the address correctly. Also, include it in your checklist at the time of dispatch to check with customers in case of an incomplete address. For example, only the city mentioned in the address. You can then share the location data with the logistics service provider. It is also recommended that the customer's contact number be included to enable guidance to the delivery agent in the event of an incomplete address. Reason number 3. Customer asks to open a product at the time of delivery, to which a logistics seller NP or the off-network logistics team refuses, and hence an order gets returned. The guideline here would be to check for business rules for logistics and declare in the product information whether an open delivery is allowed. Reason number 4. The customer has selected a cash on delivery option but does not have cash or the payment capacity at the time of delivery. Well, nothing can be done about it. It's just something you have to accept as a cost of doing business. Reason number 5. Customer denied delivery. Intent issue not related to operations gap. Okay, since it's the customer who changed his mind, the seller can decide on the refund basis the terms of the transaction. By following these guidelines for improvement, you can ensure that your sellers are performing well. It is important to measure the performance with the help of metrics. Let's explore the metrics that can be used to evaluate and track your performance, as well as that of your sellers, along with corrective measures for the same. Metric 1. Orders returned before delivery percentage. This is relevant for the seller network participant and the seller. The seller NP needs to track this to measure the percentage of the orders not delivered to the customer post-shipment and returns initiated to the seller. The formula to calculate this metric would be to divide order returns initiated without delivery by orders shipped multiplied by 100. Next metric. The average time elapsed between order time and ready to ship time. This too is relevant for you, the seller network participant, and all your sellers. This helps to identify delays due to inefficiencies in packaging and gaps in availability of products post-confirmation, which results in an increase in return before delivery at the end. The way to calculate this is to take the average of the time taken between order confirmation by the seller and the order being packed and kept ready for logistics to pick up. The average time elapsed between order ready to ship time and order shipment time. This metric helps identify time taken for pickup by logistics post-packaging and made ready to ship. Delays result in an increase in return before delivery. Calculate this by measuring the average time for all orders between ready to ship stage and the shipped stage. Both the seller network participant and the seller should keep track of this. And then finally, we have orders breach from order ready to ship to actual shipment time percentage. This metric helps identify the rate of breach of timelines by logistics in pickups. These breaches result in an increase in return before delivery. You can calculate this percentage by dividing the number of orders picked up after logistics ETA by the total orders shipped multiplied by 100. This is another important metric for both the seller network participant and the seller. Please note, customer cancellation, returns, and refund policy has to be declared upfront and is governed by e-commerce rules. Scan this QR code to know more. With that, we wrap up this video on managing returns. In the video, we learned about customer returns, the different kinds of returns, and how you can handle these different kinds of returns to minimize a seller's losses, fix issues, and help sellers maintain their ratings. In the next module, we will learn about packaging and how it plays an important part in online selling.